the last few months, businesses have leaned more on AI and automation in order to scale their operations in their businesses. While this is a really good opportunity right now that we have seen with AI and automation, and it's a real thing that can really scale your business, most of these businesses do not actually do this right. They're not ready to have AI and automation implemented into their businesses yet, and I saw this problem firsthand. In this video, I'm going to show you how I stumbled over this problem and how I built a framework that may help you go over this problem and ultimately help you scale and implement AI and automations into your business. So basically, it all started from identifying a problem, and I identified it through basically my passion. I am passionate about business systems and how to scale them using AI and automation. And of course, this led me to posting a lot of content on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok, and here on YouTube, right? And from all of these videos, I had the luck, let's say, to meet with a lot of companies. They reached out to me in order to hop on discovery calls with them and to discuss these matters. And of course, I had tens of them, like really a lot of discovery calls. And through trying to basically implement AI and automation solutions to all of these companies, I discovered a pretty big problem and a pretty common problem in basically all of these companies and businesses. And the problem is that they did not have any systems. Now, this word systems is a really complex word. It can mean a lot of things. In today's video, I'm going to show you what I mean by systems and how to basically have everything put in place so that you can then go and implement AI and automation solutions into your business. Now, implementing AI and automation in a company without it having systems, SOPs, and documentation, by the way, I put all of these three as the most important pillars in order to then be able to have AI and automation, is going to cause more problems than solve. And trust me on that. And of course, this led to them, all of these company founders, being constantly burnt out and working huge amounts of hours without being able to scale. Now, the burnt out thing is actually a pretty common thing. Unfortunately, this is one of the factors that actually made me post more about psychology in entrepreneurship and about systems. Because usually being burnt out is being triggered by one specific thing in a company I saw, and that is clarity, right? If a person does not have clarity into their operations and into what they do on a daily basis, they are going to be burned out because they have to think simultaneously about so many things, right? And it's going to be just a storm in your head. Now, this guy is the best example. Matt Gray, I highly recommend this guy. I learned a lot from him and from his content. He basically lives his best life while working 4-hour days, so pretty little amount of hours, has time to do fun things, and has a lean team that is automated and well structured. And he's able to do all of these things because of one thing, which is systems. He is the master of systems. And he inspired me to create this framework today, the Flow framework, that basically helps any business go from A to Z in order to be able to have clarity into their operations, into their business, and be able to implement AI and automations. So Flow stands from foundation, leverage, optimize, and watch. And the first phase in this whole framework is the foundational phase. Now, if you don't have this, your business is going to go to the ground. I'm sorry to say this, but it's really true. The difference between having a good foundation and not having one at all is the equivalent of doing a road trip with or without a map. So it's a pretty big difference, because the foundational phase is just like sketching a whole map of your whole business. So knowing where each thing is and how everything works, how to get to that specific thing, is exactly like a map. Now, this phase has 4 actions that need to be completed. The first action would be to document all of your current processes, right? So basically, this leads to having a clear image of our operations. Therefore, you can see what doesn't work and where, which is really important. If you know what doesn't work and where it doesn't work, you are then being able to create automations or AI solutions for that specific thing. If you don't know what doesn't work, or if you don't know where in your operations that bottleneck is, you're not going to be able to implement AI and automation to solve that solution, right? And this can be solved only through documenting your current process, which is such a simple step. Yeah, it might take a lot of time, but it is a highly leveraged action. Then it would be to build SOPs, standard operating procedures, and creating training materials. So for example, some Loom videos for your employees or your freelancers. It depends on how big your team is. These two actions will lead to your employees and contractors knowing how to do a thing once, and they will not bother you, which is again more clarity on your side. If you are onboarding a new client or a new not a new client, if you're onboarding a new employee or you are working with a new freelancer, you have to show him everything from A to Z, which is going to take a lot of time and maybe a lot of frustration on your end. But if you have SOPs and you have training materials like literal videos that specific person can watch and go from and learn how to do those specific actions, you are not going to be bothered. You are going to have your clearance to be redirected to your current actions in that specific day, which is a big plus. And then developing a process checklist with 1 to 3 key steps. This basically makes following the documents incredibly easy and gets rid of most errors. So imagine it like this. In the first action, you document all of your current processes. You have a map, you see everything, where everything is placed in your business. Then you build SOPs and create training materials. Basically, you have the legend of the map. So you have indication on how to go from A to Z, how to do each specific thing, right? And then you have checklists that go into these actions, right? Into these two actions. And basically they provide even more clarity for that freelancer or for that specific employee. Through a checklist can look like this. For instance, let's say we have the onboarding phase, right? Then you have the first step, which is create a Slack channel. The second step would be to invite the user to the Slack channel. The third step would be to send the onboarding documents to your client, right? So this is a very simple checklist that a person can follow and check each action of that specific list and do that thing, do that service, deliver that service, do that part of your business. So this is really simple. The phase one, the foundation one, is the simplest one and the most important one. It has the biggest leverage. If you do not have these, you cannot go to phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. It's as simple as that. Then once we have completed phase 1, we are going to go to phase 2, which is leverage. Phase 2 is more of an extension of phase 1. What can we build that is repeatable and has continuous value in the future? Right? This is what I mean by leverage. It doesn't need to be complicated, by the way. And basically, once we have the instructions on how to do things from the first phase, phase 1, in this phase, the second phase, we are just going to build the assets that are going to help us complete those instruction steps and as easy as possible. Let me give you an example. Again, let's say we have this part of our business, which is the onboarding part of our business. It is being triggered by the prospect signing the contract, right? And after that, we have a list of actions that need to be taken care of. For example, we need to schedule a kickoff Zoom. Then we need to draft a welcoming email from scratch. Then we need to build a Google Drive folder, collect brand assets, and paste project tasks into the PM tool. Now, all of these actions would take around 60 to 90 minutes per client. Now, if we were to build assets for these specific steps so that we can cut 70 to 80% of the time, basically we use leverage, all of these actions would take around 10, maybe 20 minutes per client to complete, which is way less than 60 to 90 minutes. And by assets, I mean welcoming email templates in this specific example, client intake forms, project board templates, branded drive folder templates. So a lot of templates here, a lot of things that would basically help us do all of these actions and processes a bit faster. See how we haven't introduced AI or automation yet, right? So we are just using simple assets and simple documentation in the first phase, right? The basic things. And these can ultimately help us a lot through having that clarity that we need in order to then scale. Basically, you analyze all of the areas in your business now that you have a clear picture from phase 1, where you could standardize the processes and create assets that leverage that specific area. This also includes file structures, naming conventions, and tracking sheets that help you monitor some areas easier. For example, the hours worked of your freelancers, right? This could be a very good example. Now, once we have completed phase 2, we go to the fun stuff, which is phase 3, the optimization phase. Now, by completing phase 1 and phase 2, we should have a well-running and scalable business. Now, To take it to the next level, we will need to constantly optimize everything and see which parts we can automate or introduce AI to help us, right? This is the fun stuff. Again, if phase 1 and 2 are not complete, implementing phase 3 and ultimately phase 4 will hurt rather than help. Why? Because for phase 3, we need to have a very clear image of all of our operations, and we need to have them to a point where they are already somewhat optimized, right? And this comes from phase 2, from those assets that we are building, we have built actually. AI and automation can cause a lot of confusion. And here is one of the main problems that I see in social media now. You have all of these creators that basically advertise these wow things like having a $100,000 AI dashboard or the ultimate team of AI agents that can run your whole business. Guys, these things, 90% of the time, they don't really work. And this is why these are being built, first of all, for entertainment. It's really impactful to see this thumbnail with all of these agents that can hypothetically run your whole business. Is really cool, but it's not efficient because you need to find your bottlenecks to create custom solutions for your problems. And you cannot do this without the previous phases. So you need to basically create assets, automation, AI solutions for your specific services, for your specific business. All of these videos are intended to basically showcase something that is really general. And if you are just copying and pasting what they are doing, it might rather hurt your business than help. And how you can do this, you can survey your employees, freelancers, or see for yourself what are the steps that take a lot of manual work and that are repetitive. I am talking about how you can find your bottlenecks and your problems. Then you can create your automations first before AI, by the way, because you will be surprised to hear that AI cannot be implemented everywhere yet, and that automations are most of the times faster, cheaper, and more effective. Then you can create AI infrastructures that basically replace a whole job. Of course, it's a bit more complicated, but in some ways it can be a huge benefit. Again, depending on what your services are and what your business and niche are. This is an automation example that I have built for an app of mine. And this can be an example of an AI infrastructure. Basically, you have all of your data sources, your tools, your memory, you have your LLMs, and you can output then a conversational assistant, which could hypothetically replace a sales agent in your business. After building these, again, you must document everything. So think about it. You have everything documented, you created assets, you then created automation and AI solutions for your bottlenecks, you solved them. Now you again need to create Loom videos, training materials for your employees, your freelancers, or even for you to know how to run those automations, how to run those AI infrastructures, and how to ultimately handle them being broken, them going sideways, because of course you are going to have some sort of problems when you are going to use infrastructures or automations, and you have to know exactly how to solve those issues, right? Basically, you need to redo phase 1 and 2 because now you have new processes and new documents used, and by having everything structured and documented, you will be able to constantly add new upgrades to your systems. Now, you don't need to redo your whole thing, the whole documentation. You only need to put new documentation for new automations or AI infrastructures that you have in your operations, or you need to tweak some assets or something that has any links to the changes that you have made, right? Now, this has been phase 3. And if we go to phase 4, which is the watching phase, really, really important, by the way. Now we need to identify KPIs in order to track our performance and progress. KPIs are one of the most important things. You can think of KPIs as your basically doctor, which is giving you a clear image of your pains and the good parts of your business, which is of course crucial for scaling ultimately. There are some KPIs examples. So for instance, sales KPIs, marketing KPIs, customer service KPIs. Some sales KPIs could be your sales revenue, customer acquisition cost, customer lifetime value. So basically some indicators that can show you how a specific part of your business is being good or badly influenced, right? This is what KPI actually means. And they need to be monitored at all times. And based on the results, you are going to take your decisions. They are going to be the one that dictate what you should change and what you should not change into your business. Now, If you are scaling, these 4 steps, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4, need to be constantly happening, from having a clear picture of your business to seeing what works and what doesn't, and coming up with solutions that will help you make more money and save more time. So this is basically a continuous cycle going through phase 1 all the way through phase 4, right? So in phase 1, you document everything, you have a clear picture. Then you implement solutions to your bottlenecks. Then you monitor everything. See again, a pain point, go back to documenting, go back to solving that pain point, go back to watching. It's a continuous loop that you should always engage in if you're trying to scale. And if done constantly, this will help you navigate and scale your business with less hours on your side and no burnout, which is the most important thing. Really simple. This has been the Flow framework. I hope it actually helped you. I hope you are going to implement some things from today's video directly into your business. If you don't have documentation, please have documentation. If you have been thinking about implementing AI solutions and automations ultimately into your business, you can contact me down below in the comments and I can help you with that with my agency. I also am on the verge of creating a new community, and which is a community for entrepreneurs that are trying to scale their businesses through systems, and they're also trying to have clearance into their mind when it comes to their personal life and their business life. So I'm going to talk about psychology too. I'm going to leave a link in the description where you can sign up to a waiting list. I have not yet created a community. I'm trying to see how people react to the idea and how interested they are in something like this. The first 25 people that are going to sign up in the waiting list are going to have a free lifetime pass. Then this community is going to be a paid community, because I want only good entrepreneurs, only people that really want to make a change. So yeah, check all of these down below in the description and see you on the next video.